Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best element tier list for the Vernal Invader. So this video analyzes the best elements in the game. So far we have 8 elements in Monster Hunter now as of the Vernal Invader. So I will primarily look at the coverage of each element and its ability to get you through the story / post game. So the more an element covers, the more you can use it for many monsters. Obviously, you could still use it against lower star monsters. However, we're looking at the cream of the crop here. Which element is the best? Which element gives you the most coverage? And which element can actually take you very far? We are also going to consider the accessibility and flexibility of Elemental Attack 5. For example, Thunder has the most accessible Thunder Attack 5 set in the game right now. For Thunder Attack 5, you just need the Yaku helmet, the Tobikadachi body, and a Tobikadachi coil, waist, whatever you want to call it, and you will have Thunder Attack 5. And there are many pieces for Thunder, which give you Thunder Attack. So again, we're going to look at accessibility and flexibility, because a lot of times you're going to need Elemental Attack along with a high-grade elemental weapon to take you into the post-game. And this tier we'll look at the current set of monsters released as of the Vernal Invader. Like I mentioned, there were 8 as of the Vernal Invader. So we're only going to focus on the Vernal Invader because obviously there will be more monsters coming in the next major update coming in June. First, we're going to start off at the C tier, which is the worst of them all, and unfortunately that's water. Water is by far the element with the least coverage in the game, with only 4 monsters. I just recently made builds on it, but also put that warning out there like, hey, the water meta might change, but just water in general just doesn't really cover a lot. As you see here, we have water weak monsters, 4 of them: Kuluyaku, Great Gyros, Tobikadachi, and Anjanath. Water Attack 5 has a lot of flexibility and accessibility for both melee and range, so that's a plus with Water Attack. As far as the gear goes and the equipment, unfortunately that doesn't make up for water itself. In addition, Coral Puke Puke has only had 1 event, and it is the strongest water type monster type in the game so far. So Coral Puke Puke has been noticeably absent. It's been gone for a minute and needs to come back, and it likely will come back next month. But when you lock out your most powerful water monster archetype for a very long time, water just doesn't get a lot of chances to shine. And you can easily use a raw or poison element weapon in place of water element to clear the monsters it's weak to. In fact, all of the monsters that water covers are very early game monsters. So Anjanath starts at 4 stars. So you don't really need water to progress through the game, etc. Which could... It says if you like water, basically, it needs to be buffed, and hopefully that's coming again in the next major update. Next up, we have the B tier. In the B tier, these elements are good, and we're going to start off with Sleep. So Sleep has the least effectiveness for all the build-up elements in the game, wherein 3 monsters only have a build-up for it, as in Sleep weak monsters you have Great Jagras, Puke Puke, and the Great Gyros. Now that doesn't mean you can't sleep additional monsters, it's just you could sleep these monsters faster.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Now the good thing, you don't need a Hulk Buster in order to put a monster to sleep, you just need Status Sneak Attack 4, or you don't even need Status Sneak Attack 4, it has regular build-up, but Status Sneak Attack 4 is easily accessible for sleep users, and Sleep has the least amount of resisted monsters. It only has 2 monsters that resist sleep. These monsters are Gyrototis and Ratobon, as you see right here on the little tier list, or the list right here, if you see where the brackets are. Sleep does bonus damage when it procs, but it only takes 1 attack to wake up the monsters. So you hit it once while it's asleep, it's gonna wake up. Does bonus damage, and you can do this multiple times, but yeah, that's what it does with Sleep. In addition, Sleep element can be easily replaced by Poison or Paralysis, so Sleep isn't necessary. I would say it's more of a let's have fun type of deal when it comes to Sleep weapons, but Sleep is very lacking as far as the weapon type department as well. There's no Sleep bow, and there's no Sleep light bowgun, so yeah, Sleep is kind of lacking in a lot of different ways. But again, it's a lot of fun, but I wouldn't make it a priority if you're trying to get to endgame or postgame. Just something that you could build for fun later on in your journey as a Monster Hunter Now player. However, we aren't done with the B tier yet. In the realm of where this element is good, we have Dragon. And Dragon is tied for the most coverage in the game with 8 monsters. There are 8 monsters weak to dragon in Monster Hunter now, as of right now. We have Rathian, Pink Rathian, Diablos, Rathalos, Azure Rathalos, Radaban, Bambaro, and Deviljho. So you're like, what the heck, King of Charmanders? Why is it only in B if there's all that coverage for Dragon? Well, here's the thing. Dragon Attack 5 is one of the least flexible and least accessible elements in the entire game right now. You need Pink Rathian and Deviljho materials and equipment to make Dragon Attack 5. In addition, the Dragon Attack weapons, again, are only locked to Deviljho and Pink Rathian. So you have a subspecies and the big boss monster of the Vernal Invader, which both are very hard to actually get. So even if you played a lot before, or even you played a lot now, or if you're a newer player, guess what? You aren't going to have access to these weapons and armor like right away. It's going to take you a bit to get to Deviljho and Pink Rathian, and just because it's so expensive and locked behind that, this is why Dragon falls so far down the plane as far as an element. Is it good? Absolutely. Dragon elemental weapons are very powerful if you can use them. Of course, not all of us live in great areas like high population, suburban, etc. Some players even live in rural places where it's really terrible to play the game, but they still play, so they're still champions. And lastly, Dragon element can be easily replaced by more easier to access elements. There is more than one weakness for every monster, unless you're Zinogre as of right now. So you might as well just use the other one instead of Dragon. Again, Dragon is very outside of people's budget, and even if you've been playing for a while, unless you're in a crazy place, you know, like Japan, Hong Kong, or those high population areas which have group hunts, you probably don't have Dragon weapons that are super high unless you just would absolutely ham for them. But again, there's no reason to, so you could just use another element in the place of Dragon. On to the next tier, and we have the one where it's really good. This is the A tier. And we're starting off with Paralysis. Paralysis has the second most effectiveness for all the build-up elements in the game, with 6 monsters. So the monsters that are weak to Paralysis are the Great Jagras, Kuluyaku, Puke Puke, Diablos, Black Diablos, and Odo Garen. For Paralysis, status Sneak Attack 4 is easily accessible for Paralysis users and has Paralysis Attack 2 Greaves. So you can have status Sneak Attack 4 along with Paralysis Attack 2, giving you more power and ability to paralyze the monster. And it's only resisted by 3 monsters. Paralysis is only resisted by Great Gyros, Zinogre, and Sisiaku. But you can still paralyze them. It's not like, again, status buildup doesn't work to where like, oh, this is resisted or you don't do a lot with damage. No, it just takes it a little longer or a lot longer for you to build up Paralysis. However, with Paralysis, you can stun the monster multiple times in battle. It's very good as a support build for Huntathons, and if you have one player using Paralysis with status Sneak Attack, and they could just wail on the monster from behind, while the rest of your group absolutely just curb stomps the monster to death. And Paralysis element can actually take you far into the post game, and like I mentioned, it's great for supports, but it still isn't as good as Poison. So it's the second best, but it's not the GOAT. Still though, if you want to use Paralysis and you like it, it's still really good. However, we're not done. There's still one more element in the A tier, the really good tier, and that's Fire. Fire is tied with the second most coverage in the game at 6 monsters. Monsters that are weak to the fire element are Great Jagras, Barith, Palumu, Legiana, Bambaro, and Barith. Fire has decent flexibility when it comes to optimal builds for Fire Attack 5. In fact, it is the only light bowgun build that can max Fire Attack 5, recoil down 3, and reload speed 3. So Fire has been definitely one of the favorites for the light bowgun, but it also covers a lot of monsters with 6. Along with that, Rathalos is the strongest overall fire type, which makes Azure Rathalos not so important. So the variation, instead of Rathalos, the original one, regular Rathalos is the best one as far as overall. So that's what's great. Fire has flexibility as accessibility. Go after Rathalos, and thanks to the new monster tracker, you can take out more Rathalos than ever. The thing is, Poison can substitute for Fire, but Fire covers enough to where it's worth a look into if you have the resources. So if you built Fire already and you like Fire, guess what? Light everything on fire because that monster is going to be on fire. as, again, fire is still really good and worth investing into. In fact, the Firelight Bowgun is still my second favorite build to use, and I love it. I love using it. It's just so beautiful, it's so good, and it feels so good to just bang everything to death. Last but not least, we have the cream of the crop. All the way to the top, we have the S rank with the greatest of all times, starting off with the Thunder element. Thunder is tied with the second most coverage in the game with 6 monsters. The monsters weak to Thunder are Puke, Gyrototis, Rothian, Pink Rothian, Rathalos, and Deviljho. So the thing about it is, why is Thunder in the S tier? Should it be below Dragon? Well, actually, there's a good reason why Thunder is one of the best. Thunder has the most flexibility and options out of all the elements in the game so far. It is also the cheapest and most friendly for beginners and newer players. You can get Thunder Attack 5 with only the Sisiaku helmet, the Tobi Kadachi body, and the Tobi Kadachi coil or waist. So those monsters are very easily accessible out of the field, and they aren't difficult to defeat at all. So if you're able to do that, the reward it gives you, guess what? Thunder Attack 5 or a lot of options for you to play around with Thunder Attack. That's why Thunder is in the S tier. Along with that, Zinogre is the strongest Thunder elemental monster type, but Tobi Kadachi can easily substitute and be found in 2 biomes in the wild. So you can easily just substitute weapons for each other. For example, you can use Tobi Kadachi. Sisiaku only has 2 weapon types, as in the dual blades and a longsword, but other than that, you have a lot of variety of monsters that are easily found on the field, and they're not in one biome like Rathalos or Legiana. Thunder can also take down a wide scale of monsters, but it can also be great for the future, as Kushala Daora, the first Elder Dragon, hopefully coming soon, and Leviathans. Leviathans do have some of them which are weak to Thunder, so Thunder is going to be very useful not just for now, but also the future. For the next element in S rank, the next of the GOATs is Ice. Ice is tied with the most coverage in the game with 8 monsters. The Ice weak monsters in Monster Hunter now are Koro Puke, Diablos, Black Diablos, Azarathalos, Radoban, Zinogre, Sisiaku, and Odogaron. That's a lot of powerful monsters that are weak to this element. Ice has a good amount of flexibility for Ice Attack 5. However, it is not very accessible. The thing is, Legiana spawns in 1 biome, and Barrieth is only available in Hunt-a-thons as of right now, and of course during the winter, it's not on the field. However, Ice takes out the most subspecies and some of the most powerful monsters in the game, such as Black Diablos, Zinogre, and possible Elder Dragons in the future like Teostra. And Ice is definitely an element that you should look to build now or the future. In fact, we just had an Ice Elemental event, and you could totally look for Legianas in the monster tracker, and Barrieth is still in Hunt-a-thons right now. So if you like Ice, then definitely it's something you want to build now, and again, it will still serve you well in the future. And for the final element, we have the GOAT of the status build-up elements, Poison. Poison has the most effectiveness for all the build-up elements in the game with 7 monsters. The ones where you get more poison to is the poison weak monsters of Great Jagras, Koro Puke, Barrieth, Legiana, Radoban, and Deviljho. Along with that status, Sneak Attack 4 is easily accessible for poison users. However, it's also resisted by 6 monsters. This doesn't mean you still can't poison those monsters. The reason why it's so freaking good as far as poison goes is because poison does passive damage and has additional effects against certain monsters. Which, one of them is like Legiana. For example, if you poison Legiana, you can stop it from flying or using its ice attacks. And poison has been proven to take you far into the post-game, 8 stars and beyond, making it arguably the most cost-efficient element for any player of any level. Puke is available in all 3 biomes. If you want to go even more of the status build-up, you can go with Rothian, and it is incredibly powerful, and like I mentioned, poison has been proven, and there has been multiple content put out there with just how good poison is. So, if you are just beginning your journey, you messed up a little bit, poison can take you very far. Hopefully this tier list helps you with what elements you decide to invest in. The next major update is coming soon, so the Thunder element will serve you well with what's coming next. Monster Hunter now has a pattern of using elements from before to help you out for the future. So because we have such a heavy focus on thunder, thunder should help you out. And just like the build guide, it's very accessible. So going for thunder or poison, because poison is really great like I reviewed as well. Either one of those will work really well for you. With that being said, please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. I hope you're roasting a lot of Zinogre right now and that you had a lot of luck with drops. Again, good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.